guys, so just before we get into the tutorial today, I was hoping that I could get you guys to check out my Etsy shop. Even if you can't purchase anything, it would be a huge deal for me if you guys went over and hearted or liked some of the items in my Etsy shop. I do have some sales going on. I know I had a jewelry sale that might have ended already, but I do have several sales scheduled for the next couple of months. So I'm really hoping that you guys could do me a favor and pop on over there after the video and like a couple of items. If you see something you really like, you can take advantage of that sale. Yeah. Anyways, let's get into the tutorial. Alright guys, welcome to another Stitch of the Week. If you're new to my channel, I am slowly working my way through this book. It's called the New Crochet Stitch Dictionary, and each week I give you guys a tutorial on how to do one of the stitches out of this book. We're slowly, like I said, we're slowly working our way through it. If you're interested in picking up this book, I will leave the link to it in the description box below if anybody wants to check it out. Today's stitch is number 34. It's called the Staggered Paired Stitch, and it is on page 21. Full disclosure, this is actually the second take of this video, and prior to that I played around with this stitch a little bit just because there were some new symbols in this stitch that I wasn't entirely familiar with. So I did play around with this stitch a little bit to make sure that I was going to get everything correct and that I understood the graph. And then I managed to screw it up during filming. So now we're on take 2, but the third attempt at this particular stitch. And it's not a hard stitch, but yeah. Anyways, I do apologize if you guys can hear my AC. I hope that is not too distracting. So let's get into this stitch. The first thing that you are going to need to do is you're going to chain a multiple of 4 plus 3 chain stitches plus 1 beginning chain. So in total you're going to have a multiple of 4, but just know that one of those chains is going to be your turning chain, and then 3 of those is just chain stitches, if that makes sense. It's going to be a multiple of 4. I have chained a total of 20 here, so I'm going to go ahead and start with row 1, and we're going to place 1 single crochet into the second chain from your hook. And then we're going to skip a chain and place 2 double crochets into the next stitch, or the next chain. We're going to go ahead and skip 1 chain and place 2 single crochets in the next stitch or chain. And that's going to be our sequence for this row. We're going to skip 1, place 2 double crochets in the next chain, skip one, place 2 single crochets in the next chain. Or we're just going to be doing that all the way down the row. When we get to the end of the row, you should have 2 chains left, and we're going to go ahead and skip that last one. And if you've done everything correctly, you should end with 2 double crochets in the last chain. So it kind of looks like a mess after just the first row. It's probably going to continue to look like a mess at least until row 3. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn our work. And in between the posts of the 2 double crochets that you just made, so not in the stitches but in between these posts, if you pull them together, or I mean pull them apart like that, you'll see that there's actually 2 posts here that kind of make a V. In that space, you're going to place a single crochet. And then in the actual stitch of the second leg of that V, you're going to place 2 double crochet. So it's going to look something like this. Now we're going to skip 3 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, and then again in the next set of double crochets from the previous round, working in between the posts, we're going to place 2 single crochets this time. Kind of push these over, and then in the second double crochet in the actual stitch, we're going to place 2 double crochets. And so we're going to go ahead and continue doing that all the way down the row. You can see this is what it looks like as it's being worked up. I am at the last set of double crochets, so I'm going to go ahead and work my 2 single crochets in between the posts of those doubles from the previous round. And then, since it's the last set of double crochets for this row, we are actually going to skip this double crochet stitch here, and in this single crochet, that's where we're going to place our set of 2 double crochets, the last 2. So we're skipping, we've got these 2 worked in between the posts. Usually we would put 2 double crochets in here, but instead, since it's the last, since it's the end of our row, we're going to skip this one, and we're going to place it in the next stitch, which is our very last stitch, and we're going to place 2 double crochets right there. And that is what row 2 looks like. So row 3 is essentially a repeat of row 2. It's really a 1 row repeat. We're going to be chaining 1. We're going to turn our work. In between the posts, we're going to place that first single crochet, and then in this second double crochet here, we're going to place our set of 2 double crochets. And then we're going to skip 3 stitches and work 2 single crochets in between the posts of the next set of double crochets. And again, in that second double crochet, you'll place your set of 2 double crochets. Skip 3 stitches in between the posts, 2 single crochets, and then in that second leg, or that second double crochet from the previous round, we'll put our set of 2 double crochets, and we're going to work that all the way down the row. And just like before, when we get to the end of the row, instead of placing our set of 2 double crochets into the last double crochet of the row, we're actually going to be placing them into this single crochet here. So that is really all there is to this stitch. Like I said, it's a 1 row repeat. I'm going to go ahead and work up a few more rows. I'm going to go ahead and work up a swatch, and then I will meet back up with you guys and give you my thoughts on this particular stitch. Alright guys, so here's what my swatch looks like. I don't know if you guys can see the like waviness that's going on here. See the waviness, the vertical waves that this stitch has? I kind of like that. It's a little bit of a different texture, and I actually kind of like that quite a bit. Like I said, this is what it looks like worked up. Super easy stitch, 1 row repeat. There's not a whole lot to dislike about this stitch. I will say though, probably if I were going to use it, and this is common for me, I would put a row of single crochet down at the bottom. I say that about a lot of these stitches, but I could totally see this being a blanket stitch, to be honest, just because of the way those waves, those vertical waves, I think are probably not showing up very well on camera, but they are there. And that reminds me of just a really comfy blanket. So I could see making, you know, a cozy blanket or something out of this stitch. Now, I will say that it does, I'm not sure if you'd consider this an open stitch or a closed stitch, but I do feel like it is a light enough stitch that you could make a top out of and it still be kind of summery depending on the weight of the yarn. But also it is a stitch that if you use a little bit of a heavier yarn, maybe a weight 4, you could get a nice sweater out of. It's kind of a nice in-between stitch, not too closed but not too open. You know, it does have a few, you know, it does have some holes, but it's not completely closed off, if that makes sense. But honestly, my first thoughts for this stitch would be a blanket. So yeah, anyways guys, that's what I have for you for Stitch of the Week. I hope you guys enjoyed this stitch tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe invite some of your yarny friends to my channel to check out some of my stitch tutorials, or just my crochet tutorials, whichever. The support is greatly appreciated, and I will see you guys next week for another Stitch of the Week.